All right, hello. Welcome to our virtual feet prototype. As you can see here, I have virtual feet. So what we were trying to explore in this prototype was just a simple question, which was, what if we strapped Vive controllers to our legs and used them as feet? And this kind of just set us off on this whole path of trying to make this game where you're walking over objects, trying to avoid objects, and just generally doing things with your feet. Um, One of the first things that we had to do was try and figure out first a way to actually get the Vive controllers onto your feet. So we made these little straps here, which is a design that we definitely need to iterate on because currently, sometimes they'll slip, they'll move about, and it just becomes a pain and kind of like disrupts the immersion of the game. Some of the other things that had to figure out was if we wanted a game where we wanted players to be able to move around an environment that was big enough to actually walk through and like feel like they were walking and traversing some obstacles, was the matter of space. So we quickly just kind of realized that we had to make this about a 4x3 meter game and say, well, this is what we have to do. So smaller versions felt like we were in a small, tight elevator because you couldn't really walk over anything. So this is what we ended up coming up with. The other thing was we quickly realized that staring down at your feet all the time was a really big pain on your neck. So we started thinking about how do we design levels to accommodate you looking around, looking up, looking in front of you, or just looking comfortably down without necessarily staring down at your feet. So one of the ways that we did that was just putting things like this right in front of the player. Another thing that we had to figure out was how do we get the player where we want them to start in this like very strict kind of level. So we came up with this elevator structure. So I walk here, I go into this elevator, light says to go in, I go in. I see as I turn around, I'm on one side of the play space. So as the level begins to load and goes on to the next one, the door will open and I come onto this next level on the other side of the play space. So it turns into a situation where the player is essentially traversing back and forth between the different levels, and it creates an interesting feeling where, you are walking through different rooms, you are able to walk through this play space in a kind of meaningful way. One of the other challenges that we had to come up with was the height of the players. So we've had an issue with people's feet going through the level of the floor, and that's much more prevalent if they are short. Oh, all right, if I would have hit that one more time, that ceiling would have come down on me. I would have died. Um, and so we're coming up with an algorithm currently to try and figure out a way to just judge the height of the person based on the HMD and move the feet accordingly. Um, Another issue that we've come up across is the HMD itself. Normally, it just kind of gets tethered around like the feet when other people are playing, but specifically because we're moving across this large space, it does kind of get stuck around the head every once in a while. So you saw in the last level we were stepping over things, and now we're in this weird Lynchian ritualistic. So one of the gameplay things that we tried to do here was picking things up with your feet and putting them in a thing. And one of the reasons that we ended up going with something like this is because it's one thing for you to just be able to walk through certain spaces. It's one thing for you to be able to step over things, but we really wanted to try and create novel experiences with your feet, which really led to some interesting design challenges because we realized we weren't in a position where the player could bend down and pick and click a button. Everything had to be done with the feet. Everything had to be done buttonless just by pure contact. So we've got a few ideas that we want to test out moving forward. We've got a few different ideas in terms of levels, level design, but also ways to iterate on this so that possibly we can get more foot rotation. You see I'm twirling my foot right now, but that's not really being represented in our current setup because of the location on the shin. So we're trying to come up with a way to really get that full foot experience and really make you feel like you have some virtual feet. So we're excited to continue work on this. We're excited to continue making different levels. We're hoping to, get you to kick stuff, maybe walk super quietly, test the impact of things, and generally just make a really fun experience where you can be in a virtual space, your hands are free, you're using your feet just like you normally would, so you're focused completely on the environment. You're not even worried about pressing buttons, you're not worrying about anything, you're just walking and really making that an interesting experience. Um, I guess one more time. Let's see. Yeah, I guess no. Does team members on the outside of the screen want to add anything that I forgot? Sounds good. All right. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you get to try it out at some point.